Hello and welcome back to Tommy's Top Picks Weekly Roundup podcast, episode 142. I'm your host, Tommy, joined by John.
How is it going?
Good. Schedules didn't line up yesterday, so we didn't get the pod out yesterday. So here we are today, getting it out.
Yep.
Going to be talking about how Commander's dead. It's a dead format.
Dead
No one
forever.
plays it anymore.
Done.
And some changes that happened this week there. Gonna talk about. I got a chance to play some Flesh and Blood, so I played Flesh and Blood and Star Wars Unlimited over the weekend with a buddy. We'll get into that, and then sorcery. You opened a sorcery box.
I did. We'll chat about that.
Anything else you want to chat about?
No, I think that's it.
Oh, and housekeeping news, exciting stuff. Tommy's Top Shelf Comics is coming back next week, so keep an eye out. If you're not subscribed and want to hear me talk about comic books, we're changing up the format a little bit and starting that back up over on Tommy's Top Shelf Comics on YouTube. So that'll be fun.
Cool.
But yeah, where do you want to start?
Let's start with what you played.
Yeah, that's where we usually start. Got together with some friends over the weekend and got to play a bunch of cards with my friend Ben. So shout out to Ben. And got to teach him how to play Star Wars. It was his first time playing Star Wars. We played the Luke and Vader starter decks. It was pretty fun. I won the first couple, and then I think he won the last two. So he was like, "How does this work? How does Luke ever be Vader?" And he asked if it was like a balanced thing, and I was like, "Yeah." And then I explained the key is really to lean into the shields and use that a lot more.
Yeah.
And so once he leaned into that, it very quickly turned. So it was fun.
He very quickly became very good.
Yeah. And then I got reminded of how to play Flesh and Blood. No, I know how to play Flesh and Blood. But yeah, played my Kasai that is now outdated. Has illegal cards in it.
Oh, wow.
Cash in was banned.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
It's
I missed that.
It's like a big card in Kasai. But yeah, I asked if Kasai was any good right now, and I got the answer of not even on the radar. So
Oh, wow.
I'm
So
all right.
wait, how and where did you play? What was the context?
Went down to Delaware for a getaway weekend with friends. You've met them, Ben.
Yeah. Oh, and he plays regularly?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He plays Flesh and Blood weekly. Yeah.
I did not realize that.
Going to events
I
and stuff.
knew we introduced him to it way back, but I didn't
he's
realize
all
he
in
got
now.
into it.
Oh,
Yeah,
he's
okay,
all
okay.
in. Yeah.
And he's like, your deck is terrible, get good scrub. That's funny.
Yeah.
The full circle of life.
I almost beat his he had Vincent and shoot, now I'm blanking on his name. The new Guardian.
Terra?
Nope. The Guardian before that.
In Heavy Hitters. Terra's not a Guardian. Yeah, never mind. He's a Rune Blade or something.
Yeah,
or
the Heavy Hitters one.
Goldmane or whatever.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, gotcha.
Fun fact in that matchup, with his hero ability making Clash a real thing, not great for the Warrior matchup. Because I have three Nourishing Emptinesses, and there's 6 attacks. And those are the only attacks in my deck.
So so he
I
wins.
just auto lose, and then there's a mechanic where he does it again. So then you do it again, and then I lose again.
Yeah.
And yeah,
feels bad.
Fun. Yeah, felt bad.
Especially with an illegal deck. Can't even win with an illegal deck.
Warrior needs some love. When Warrior gets some love, I'll come back.
Oh, boo. Oh, boo. Sad Warriors.
It is. I want to play fair Flesh and Blood.
I mean, then you need to play Rune Blade. That's what I hear. Since day one, to play Flesh and Blood, you have to play Rune Blade.
I want to play traditional, old school Flesh and Blood.
Yeah, but not too old school, because that was a different day. That was before our time.
Yes,
that's too funny.
I kind of wish I was there, because that was Dory's time.
Yeah, I was hanging out. I did lunch with our buddy Gary, and he was talking about how he's like 100% all in Flesh and Blood again. And I was like, "What changed?" And he's like, Runeblade back, baby.
Yeah, yeah,
It wasn't
yeah,
quite that, but that's the gist of what I got out of it. He was
yeah.
really just excited that oh god, what's the purple dude? His favorite dude?
Vincent, or no,
No,
Viscerai.
Viscera. That's it. Yeah. Was viable again. I guess I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it Viscerai went LL, but I
And
guess not.
Blitz.
That was only Blitz. Okay,
Yeah,
okay, that's why I was a little confused. But I wasn't going to question him. He knows.
yeah,
He's all over it. He is all over it. I guess there's a new way to play it and new
yep,
tools and this and that and all that stuff. So he's like, I love this set. I'm like, I get it. I get it.
yeah. So the other deck I was playing against was Vincent, and he had some of the new cards, and they are silly.
Yeah,
It's like,
that's
wait, they
clear.
printed this?
I didn't
Okay,
even like just a few cards that we looked at. I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be a crazy set.
this
This
is
is
a
gonna be a
reset the
ball
meta set.
lightning
Yeah,
set."
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, but that's fine. There's so many people that love that. It
yeah,
brings people back. Like that's
yes,
the thing.
yeah,
Wizards and Rune Blades. Come on, you know
yeah.
you're gonna get love there.
Of course, just not my love.
No, no, no,
There's
no.
no worry.
I understand. You had yours with heavy hitters.
Yeah,
There's only 2 sets ago, man.
no, as in like I didn't really come back that hard for it.
Yeah, but it was your set. It was the warrior set. It's when your baby
Yeah, but the
became
warrior
real.
turned out to not be that great
Well,
and not even relevant yet. So,
get good, scrub.
but so we played a bunch of Flesh and Blood, and we played a bunch of Star Wars.
It's cool. Sounds
And
fun.
yeah, when I wasn't there during the week, I was just playing World of Warcraft.
Yeah, you're
Finished the
just
raid on normal and heroic.
completely addicted to that.
Oh, it's bad, John.
I know it's
It's
always
bad.
bad. Every time you go back, it's bad.
This is bad. This time is
I
bad.
only joined you once, and that's because COVID. And I had nothing else to do with my life, so
They have
I
like stuff
I've
to
never fallen
you
to
can
the darkness.
you can progress if you have 15 20 minutes solo and get upgrade gear. And
Cool,
that's never been a
cool,
thing before.
cool,
It's pretty
cool.
neat. Delves are cool. But yeah,
Star Wars? Anything?
Star
Anything
Wars.
beyond you
Yes.
played, but anything there's news, right? Like stuff happened.
There was a planetary qualifier, and the winner was on Boba. And I'm trying to remember what I had read.
There's a collector box.
Oh well, there's that too. But the winner of the event, uh, I guess, went online and was talking about how Boba is broken, and there should be some bannings because there hasn't been bannings yet.
Yeah, I would say it's too early for that.
But I guess just the
It,
way the numbers work with between Boba Fett and the new card in the second set with I called it actually, but it's the Boba's armor. It's nuts.
yeah, just wait, just wait. They're on what, set 3 now?
They're on set 2 right now.
Yeah, but the new one is set 3, right?
Yes.
They haven't even
And
fully fleshed out the mechanic cycle. Like the
correct.
rock paper scissors isn't even done. You have go wide coming out in the next set. It's going to take until like probably set 5 until you have the full rock paper scissors because it's a complex one. It's not just 3.
Correct.
So you shouldn't ban anything yet because
Or
clones may become the
suspend or
next.
whatever.
Well, that's fair. That's an interesting take, and I can get behind that. Like
If
suspended
yeah,
until yeah. That's I could see that.
yeah. Like
I
if the
don't know.
same deck wins the next one.
Just let people play. Who cares?
I get it. I get it.
That's I've been knee deep in sorcery, so that's I'm very happy with that mentality.
But yeah, I think the set 3 will introduce some new archetypes
Yeah,
that
for sure.
will have different win cons isn't that Boba's not as oppressive into.
Look, action economy and go wide. That's going to be killer.
Mm-hmm.
So That's why I'm like, don't get overzealous on bans at this stage. Again, I think it's going to be a 5-pointed rock paper scissors instead of 3-pointed at minimum,
Yes.
and maybe more.
Yeah.
But that's kind of my gut is that it'll be at least 5, and so you only have 2 out of the 5. Like you can't start banning stuff before you even get the balancing factors out yet. That's
Sure.
how I look at it, at least. So.
Yeah.
And they had a
This will be
7-set
another.
plan from day 1, so at least let them get through the 7-set plan. Like, I get it if you wanna
Yes.
ban stuff before that, but they had a 7-set plan all the way back from day 1, like, let them get through 5 to 7 before you start pushing for changes, because you have no
Sure.
idea, and they did. They did when they released this. They did have an idea,
Sure. Yeah.
you know?
And
So,
I'm following it up with Satine Crazed, who is going to help me with my mill deck for set 3.
oh, cool. Who's that?
Getting some more mill support. She is Mandalorian official 06, cost 4 in blue heroism.
That
And
tells me nothing.
no,
Who's that?
who's Satine?
Yeah,
She is the Queen of Mandalore.
I am so confused.
Her and Obi-Wan were a thing for a bit,
Oh.
but then he had to follow the Jedi Order and not
And
have
so wait, she become a hero
personal
in set 3
relations.
or something?
She is a unit. This is a unit card. She may be a hero, but
Okay.
she's a
And that's how you're gonna
unit.
do the mill?
Mm-hmm. She's a
Got it.
06 for 4, so she's gonna be sticky. And each unit, including enemy units, gain action, exhaust, discard cards from an opponent's deck equal to half this unit's remaining health points, rounded up.
That's
So you
pretty
play a bunch of Sentinel, big, blocky guys in both space and on the ground. You bring her out. You play your other mill cards. You play your vigilance. I think it might get there. I think whether it's good or not, I'm building it.
I'm guessing it probably won't in the next set,
No.
but it may in the set after that, you know what I mean? Like, they tease it and then finish it?
Also, I would never bring it to like a big event, only weeklies, just
Okay.
because I'm afraid of the best of 3 time limit
Fair. Yeah,
for
yeah, yeah.
that. So, but it'll be fun. I'm starting to see some pieces come together for it, and I think it'll be pretty good. We also got another card that stood out to me was the double yellow Chancellor Palpatine, which is a 4 cost 2/6 Republic official. Each token unit you create enters the play ready. On attack, if a unit left play this phase, create a clone trooper token. Seems pretty good.
So, you always replace your units?
Each turn you can create a token, and then every token that you make comes in ready, able to attack that turn, that phase.
Gotcha.
Not right away. It doesn't have ambush, but because it doesn't have ambush and it comes into play ready, it can attack the base the turn it comes onto the field.
Gotcha.
So I don't know. I'm pretty excited. I am gonna stick to my guns though and just buy singles this set though. I'll probably buy a box or two. But
Yeah. It's always fun to experience the box opening.
oh yeah, yeah. But definitely not gonna be doing what I did with set 1 and 2. But yeah, cool stuff. I'm
Cool.
excited.
So, our main topic of the day is Commander's dead. Why is it dead?
Because now Hasbro owns it.
Well,
Is in charge of
that's
it.
yeah, I was gonna say that's a weird way of saying it, but yeah.
Well, they never owned it before. It was a community thing, and now they're just like, "Don't worry, we got this."
It's not how that works. That's not at all what happened,
All
and you're
right, fill
completely
us
wrong.
in. What happened? I definitely was
Uh,
planning on you carrying this because you.
yeah, that's fine. A bunch of jagoffs threaten the lives of the rules committee
I
after the
did hear
ban.
that, and that is unacceptable. Anything more is
Unacceptable
never.
behavior by a bunch of jagoffs that should feel ashamed of themselves, honestly, because good God, it's a fucking game of cardboard.
Embarrassing.
Yeah, it really makes everyone
Yeah.
look bad that
No,
plays
it's
cards.
exactly.
Like, there's a reason everyone's like, "Ew, basement nerds, neckbeards," all the
Yeah.
derogatory things. They're because of you assholes that went out there and threatened people over cardboard
Well,
being
let's
banned.
not
Like,
say it that way because our
no, I'm
listeners
saying
would
it that way.
never.
Well, no, it's true. Yes, that's true.
The
Our listeners
general
actually
you,
wouldn't.
not the listener
Not
you.
yeah, not our listeners. No, I doubt any of them were out there threatening anyone, honestly. But generally, the people who did it, like jerks. Anyways, can you tell I don't like it?
Yeah, it's not cool.
It is not cool.
Yes.
So what happened was the rules committee said, "All right, I feel threatened. We have no money because we're a voluntary community group, right?
Yeah.
They're just people,
Yeah.
right? They
We're
don't
just
have a budget. There's no lawyers. There's nothing to protect them. And they felt like their families were under threat. I think they got doxxed or some of them did. And so, when you have kids and wives and husbands and whatever else, like you're just like, yeah, no. And so they went to WotC and said, please take it over because you can at least protect the rules committee. And when they went to WotC, this is where I say WotC doesn't own it.
Yeah.
They actually didn't go to WotC. They went to the designers in WotC.
Oh,
It's
interesting.
only the game design team or whatever. I'm probably getting it wrong for precision's sake, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
It was the team that runs game design, which has a lot of respect in the community. Several of them do at least, and have been working on things like Popper, right? So they're really about like helping the community, keeping the cards affordable. You know what I'm saying? Like that kind of mentality. Um, they basically went to them and said, can you be the rules committee? So not WotC. Now, granted, their paycheck is still from WotC, so they will
Right.
be
Right.
motivated by WotC's motivations.
Right.
But it's not like they said WotC blindly corporate ownership
Right.
of
Right.
Commander.
Yes.
They said
Yes.
game designers, the people who write the cards and figure out what works well together and really love and have a passion for creating fun games. We want you to run it. So hopefully that makes a little bit of a difference. I think it will. At least
Uh,
temporarily. At least
I don't think
temporarily.
that messaging will get to everyone.
Oh, who cares about the crowd? I'm talking about the people that actually end up designing and making the changes to the
Oh,
rules, the
in that,
ban list and
yes.
stuff.
I
Yeah,
just meant
like
the players.
no, yeah, I don't, but the players rarely understand what's going on. I mean, come on.
Fair.
Think about
Fair.
the game piece situation, think about the investor
Yeah.
situation, think about
Yeah.
the like how many times has the Magic community gotten up in arms about something that's not correctly understood,
Yeah.
Whatever. It happens all the time. People get upset. They're very passionate, and that's fine. That's why we all love the game because we're passionate about it. But yeah, I think because of that particular detail, which again, like you said, most people probably won't recognize. I think assuming until WotC starts to put pressure on them, right? Because that will happen eventually, like shareholders, etc.
Mm-hmm.
There will be a downward pressure on them eventually. But in the meantime, future card designs, future rule decisions, the tier structure they're coming up with all seem like they're built and thought through from a game design perspective for fun, for maximizing the enjoyment and accessibility of the format, which I think will be good. But there's so many landmines here. There's a reason WotC did not want this thing. Because yeah, it was better when it was controlled by the crowds. They weren't responsible. They just got to print cards. They
Right.
didn't have to worry about, whether people ascribe them malevolent ideas and all this stuff like they are now. Apparently, people are saying it's a conspiracy and WotC
Oh,
planned the
of
whole thing,
course. Of
which
course.
is the
Of
most absurd,
course.
ridiculous, smooth brain thing. I don't know how else to put it. It's like, oh
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. Like, seriously.
Be better.
Yes, people wanted their families threatened with death, and they had to be part of the conspiracy by WotC to do that.
Yeah.
That's exactly what was planned. How many times do you plan to get threatened by the internet?
0.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think so. Anyway, so yeah, so WotC owns Commander forever. because
That's
people
good.
can't control themselves. Immature children. Uh,
Well, that technically, community commander has died and is now corporate commander.
yeah, I guess so. Yeah. I mean, and this is the part that's
So it is
like,
a
again,
clickbaity title, but it is technically somewhat
uh, you're right. You're
true.
right. And the
Death of
question is,
commander as it was.
yeah, and the question is like, does it matter? This is kind of what we talked about last time, right?
I don't think it will.
I don't know. I don't think so. I'll tell you, in my pod, we once again brought it up after all this,
Yeah.
and everyone's still like, yeah, I'm playing my cards.
Yeah.
Generally, we're like, okay.
Yeah.
So
Playing the band cards.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's one of those things like I don't care if my pod plays Mana Crypt because again, I know them; they aren't abusive. Like
Right.
no one's trying to CEDH spike on us. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like no one's doing that. Heck,
So would you
half of
be
us
okay with
will play poorly to keep the game fun. Like even though we could crush people, we choose not to.
right?
You know? So
So would
what
you
was that?
be okay with the idea of, because I read a little bit of the article and it was saying how there's going to be different tiers of commander. So are those going
Yeah.
to be like different formats kind of?
So we don't have enough information to say for sure.
Yeah.
They're working on it and they're going to reveal something for the first time at some event coming up. Honestly, if it's different formats, like different ban lists, basically, fine. Like I'm okay with it. If it's not, the problem is this: it's a great idea until you ask what tier is Soul Ring,
Mm-hmm.
because Soul Ring
Mm-hmm.
is one of the most overpowered cards, but also in every precon, and
Correct.
typically precon is the lowest tier, right?
Yeah.
So because Soul Ring's an overpowered card, does that make every precon now like alpha tier or whatever they're calling it, tier 4, I think? That
I've
makes no sense. It makes
right.
no sense, right? It breaks the very concept. So this is where I'm like, I don't think the current plan is going to work, and they'll probably have to revisit it.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. It's going to change.
Yeah. So until we know, I don't have a lot of judgment.
I think it's going to be an ever living thing. Like it's still going to be a living, changing thing, just like any other format.
Yeah, and there was word like they don't want to have just separate ban lists. They want it to be more than that. I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like it's very abstract. Until we have details, there's nothing to really judge.
Yeah.
They are doing events
What
with
would
it.
you like
Hopefully,
them to do?
nothing.
Just keep printing cards.
Yeah, it's rule zero. It's what your friends want to play. Like I I see it as a tabletop format. Oh, by the way, I was wrong. There are EDH tournaments. I looked it up
Hey.
after our last podcast because I was curious, and they
Yeah.
are. They do exist. There's a bunch of EDH events, not CEDH events. So they do exist. Pretty much everything I saw on the internet was people complaining about it. But again, you're going to get biased towards complaints because people that are happy with it aren't going to say
Yep.
anything on the internet.
Yep.
So I don't know how bad they actually are, but they are somewhat regular. They do happen. So this will matter for those people. I don't know any of those people. I personally don't do that. So I don't really care what they do. I think what the rules committee did for the last 10 years, which is basically ban nothing, was probably the best move.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you can't be mature enough to have a conversation and kind of understand where things are, then you might not be mature enough for EDH. I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know. I probably shouldn't cast that judgment until I play at a shop
True.
because
Yeah.
I get coming in with strangers and trying to,
Having some kind of guideline.
yeah, yeah, I get that. Like, I agree with some set of structure, and the power level 1 to 10 was always BS because everyone says 7.
Yes.
Um, so, like, there had to be a better way of doing it. We worked it out in our pod just by throwing decks at each other until we understood where everyone stood with things.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked that because I like exploring decks. So for
Yeah.
me, it's a perfectly viable and valid format in the current structure, and they can change a million rules, and I'm just going to ignore them. As long as the pod does. If the pod wants to do it, then I'll be like, okay, fine. I don't care. Like, I'll play by any rules.
Right.
I put limitations on myself. I actually saw a recent, I'm not sure if it was a recent video or article. I recently saw this though. And the guy was talking about the biggest thing that happens because there's no contextual rule structure for creating decks is that you self limit. And it's because most people don't want to do CEDH, right? So you have to limit yourself somehow. A lot of people will limit by budget, right? I
Yeah.
only want to spend $50, $100, whatever, right? And then the rest of it is whatever. I tend to limit myself on trying to get to a certain functionality within 10 turns. That's
Right.
my mission. Like I goldfish against 10 turns. And if I can set a board state, get in position, have my engine close, that sort of thing. Because most of the people I play with play pretty fast decks. So
Mhm.
they're usually operating by turn 5 or 6. And I can usually politics another, 4 turns out of it,
Right.
give or take. So I can, if I can get to where I need to be by turn 10, I have a deck that's viable with my pod. That's kind of my mental construct. Um, and then of course I throw random rules for each individual deck. Like I want it to be all black. I want it to discard. I want to do a control green. You know what I mean? Like I have a theme or a concept that I'm chasing down. But so that is generally how I think these things need to be played. I don't know what you do with the competitions. Hopefully they come up with some good rules. I don't know. Maybe EDH is dead.
In my opinion, I
Yeah.
think they do what you said, but then for CEDH, just like any other format, they have a ban list. But it's not
Honest,
permanent. Like anything can come on and anything can come off.
I don't think they need to do anything for CEDH. So
No?
I watched. Remember how last time we were talking about like, does this matter to them, et cetera? I watched a few CEDH videos that some of the people we know,
Yeah.
and their ultimate conclusion was like, this is great. I'm more excited about building new decks than I have been. Exactly what we
Right.
suspected
That's what
would
I'm saying.
happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they were
So
like,
these
it's
bans
fine.
would
It was
continue to
scaled. This is
happen and
amazing.
then
Yeah.
yeah, so they get more of those type of days.
Yeah, and that's fine, I guess. I honestly, yeah, because it's
You see what
gonna
I mean?
be
Like
stale otherwise
and
if they
and
don't do things like that.
and literally everyone else can be happy with just rule 0.
Yeah.
It's just it splits it into two. You want to play it with rules in a format. Here's the format. You want to play how you want to play. Play you how you want to play, and you can have tournaments for both.
Yeah, that might work. It might.
And then maybe the CEDH gets to a point where they really do, or they ban a bunch of stuff to, like you said, keep things affordable. But I don't think it would ever get there.
Yeah, I
They would
think
have
the
to, the
real
ban list would
question
have to
is,
be too long.
or I think the concern that's here now that we have corporate managing the rules is like there was a motivation to print cards again and again to get them
Yep.
into people's hands. Now there's not. So, and like Jeweled Lotus was seen as egregious, Mana Crypt was seen as egregious, just costing too much, and the demand
Yeah.
was heavily based on EDH. So it's like they're gonna milk that.
Yeah. Yeah.
There'll be a lot of
Oh,
single cards that
absolutely.
are
Heck yeah.
EDH only, super powerful for EDH. Everyone needs it in every deck. You know what I mean? If they're smart and healthy, i.e., the game designers have a heavy say for a while, then they won't do that often. As we've seen with other games, where it's like, if you make a card that has to be in every deck, you failed, you know, because it shouldn't be in every deck, right? No one card should be a must have in every deck. That is a failure of design typically. It means
Yeah.
it's out of balance with the rest of the card pool. Um, Especially with a card pool of literally every freaking card
Exactly.
except
Yeah, that's
for,
the problem.
Power
Yeah.
9. You know what I mean? Like, so again, it depends on how this plays. It depends on how it comes down the chain from investors and shareholders and board and all that stuff and how they push on it or don't. We do know Commander's a major moneymaker for WotC.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So chances of interference not happening is very slim. But again, I hope the designers have a heavy say. Um, it's going to be tough. It's going to be an interesting couple years. Tell you that. So 2 years, mark your calendars. 2 years, 2026. In let's call it. It'll probably be in the early part of 2026, right? We're going to start seeing the results of these products because everything else is probably
Yeah.
already going to the
Right.
printers, designed, etc.
Do you think all the commander decks are too? The commander
Yeah,
sets are?
yeah, probably. I think. Well, it's a fair question, I suppose, because
Main
drafting's
sets,
harder
sure.
to
Yeah.
design. Yeah, Yeah, that's fair. Maybe it is a little bit quicker. Maybe we do see some commander products reflect this change sooner rather than later. But okay, at minimum, or yeah, at minimum like 6 months, eight
Yeah,
months, right?
absolutely. Yeah,
So let's look at 2025, late 2025. Let's revisit
yeah.
question whether or not commander product releases have drastically changed.
Are
And
there
then if it
more?
hasn't, wait another 6 months and try again. You know what I mean?
Are there more sets like Commander Masters and Commander Legends, Baldur's Gate,
No,
and Commander Legends?
there is nothing on the current
No, no,
calendar.
no. Like, will more of those pop up now?
No, I think they'll keep them at about the same ratio. The question is, what cards do they put in?
Right.
Because
That's
the
fair.
the master sets, I think, well, except for like, so that's the problem. Like, they have two different styles. So the Baldur's Gate one was new, unique cards. The other ones, I think, were all reprints because most master sets are reprints, right? So I think they were both all reprints. I'm like 85%
Even the
sure that's
original Commander
true.
Legends, because that
Yeah.
wasn't that the
Yes. Yes.
original
That one I
Blue
know for a
Lotus?
fact is heavily.
Heavily, but not all.
Maybe not all, yeah, but it's definitely heavily because every time I try to
Because
put
Baldur
that in
Gate's
the
not all new.
it definitely isn't. That's obviously very new and unique cards, but, like, every time I try to put Commander Legends in using the TCG Player app, it
Yeah,
never identifies the goddamn set. It
yeah,
always picks the other set, and you have to manually change the set for Commander Legends because they're all reprints
right,
and they use the same art. So,
right. That's fair.
always identifies it as the other set. Whereas, like, Baldur's Gate, that all goes in instantly because
Yeah,
it's unique, right? Unique
yeah,
card and all that. But like Commander Masters is heavily reprinted, but it's a good question. Like Jewel Lotus is a good example. Because that's only been printed a few times so far.
right.
So I don't you're right. I think that's probably only in a commander and a master set because that's the commander focus set.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
it's not legal in
Anything else?
modern. Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see. Keep an eye on it. I don't think they'll print more of those sets. I think they will print more Jeweled Lotus type cards.
yeah, yeah,
Overpowered cards. The question
yes.
is how fast do they show up and how much do they proliferate that? Because WotC, we've seen
Do
this a
they
million
show up
times.
only in collector boxes and collector
No, God no.
commander
It's gonna
decks?
be the same way WotC always does, right? They're gonna tease and play it. They're gonna do a little bit, and then they're gonna push it, and then it's gonna be over pushed. Just like
So
everything else. Everything in WotC does that pattern.
for special sets, will they have $50 level 2 commander deck and then $100 collector
I
commander
doubt
deck?
we see that
Or like the
anytime
same
soon.
set but multiple
I
level
see what you're
versions?
saying.
Yeah.
I think we won't see that. If that happens, it will probably be that's probably 2+ years because they
Yeah.
have to design the rules,
Sure. Yeah.
decide, get
Right.
feedback, get buy-in because they know if they screw this up, everyone's just going to ignore them and they're
Yeah.
effectively disband.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't want to do that, so they have to endear the community and do the right things for a while before they push some limits like that.
Sure.
If they did that right off the bat, literally
But
everything they said wouldn't matter anymore.
wouldn't some
No,
commander people like that though? Different
yes,
options for
but it's
precons, more options.
yes, but it's clearly also a push for money.
Yeah.
If you only have 10
But
unique
the
cards in a
collector ones
deck
are shiny though. It's more money and it's shiny.
and different cards,
Yeah. Yeah, like higher power level cards in it.
okay, yeah, maybe. I don't know. That's a tough one. But again, if you don't
Yeah,
have the
so like
rules
it's a
defined,
power
it's hard
level
to make
2,
that.
like the $50 ones, the power level 2, like say all the precons that have been coming out recently are level 2, right? So you have your standard ones that come out with each set, but then some sets will have fancier versions with more power cards in it.
Yeah, that I could see it happening eventually.
It's like how they broke off the draft box, the set box, collector box, all that kind of stuff, but just for just commander products.
5 years from now, every product released by WotC is just a commander deck.
That's what it already is.
No, that's not true.
No,
But it could be.
all the cards are.
A lot of the cards are. You're right about that.
No. I don't know. I think it's interesting. It'll be interesting to watch over the next year or so.
Yeah, for sure. Evolution will be
And how
unique.
the players react, because the players react. It's another
That's it.
big part of it too.
It's so many players.
It's a lot of players.
so many players.
And rippling effect, like this kept me up the other day of how, like, okay, so EDH implodes. It's not going to. EDH implodes. People just lose interest in cards. All the other smaller card games.
Oh God, that's not happening. No,
Well, just
no.
less people in a card shop, less card shops, less places to play smaller games.
But I guess that's possible.
Besides Talishar, and then
I see what you're
you
saying. I
grind
see what you're
Talishar
saying.
at home, and then you go
Well,
and
I'm
play at these pro tours once every 2 months or something.
but I'm just saying, like, you're saying shop play of EDH is going to drop off because, and that will hurt sales, therefore hurt shops, therefore hurt
They will, but they also
second tier
sell.
games.
It's not just going into play, but like they sell singles, they sell boxes, they sell Magic. They sell Magic. They don't
I
just give out a
I,
place to play it.
I don't see this doing that.
I
It's
know. It was
magic.
just my like,
It's magic, man.
but
People
what
are gonna
if?
play magic regardless. Like there's,
Yes,
I
you are
suppose,
right.
yeah. After 30 some odd years, that will collapse and fail. There's always a possibility that that will happen someday.
Not zero,
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like,
but it is very low,
yeah,
and it would be a very slow death.
yeah, exactly. It would take a decade, in my opinion, for it to actually die. Maybe 5 years if they really screwed up
Yeah,
on
that's true.
every front. And then obviously, if the entire global economy collapses, then cardboard's not worth much. So there's that.
But it'll come back,
It'll come back.
and you'll have worse problems.
Yeah, I was about to say I don't think
I don't think you're worried about
you're cardboard at that
your cardboard health.
point. um yeah. So I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, no, it won't
We'll
be.
see.
It'll just
We'll
be
see what
different,
happens. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
or
It's
it will
gonna be
be
fun to
exactly
watch.
the same for most people.
Yeah, I think it really will be. Honestly, you don't change something that big that easily.
No,
So honestly, I think what's going to happen is the rules committee is going to falter and fail a few times before it gets figured out enough that people are excited about it.
what if another rules committee is just starts being like, "Hey, I'm the committee."
There's already been efforts towards that. In fact, I think the last time something was banned, a group got together to try to make an alternative format called Captain,
Yeah,
and it went nowhere.
yeah, okay,
So
yep,
that's where
that
it's
checks out.
like, I wonder if, like, I don't know. It's possible,
No
but
rules
again,
is the best rule.
again, tabletop format.
Yeah,
Like,
kitchen table.
yeah, yeah, sorry, kitchen table format. Yeah, it's like, mess it up, big deal.
Yep,
Most of the people are just gonna keep playing with their friends. You
yep,
know what I mean?
yep,
Like,
yep. They just want new cards to play with their friends with.
that's all right. I'm sorry. And give us precons, and we'll eat those up because we do. I
Yep.
still find that amazing and shocking as I look at my wall of
Well,
precons.
that's
Right?
why I'm. That's what I'm saying. That's what I was saying. Just make a bunch of different versions.
Yeah, I think that's a very viable path. The
Yeah.
question is, like, are they doing it based on tier level? This is where I don't think they know. I don't think we
Right.
know.
No.
That 4 tier level thing was a very off the cuff proposal, we'll say. Not thought through. We'll see what's thought through at this next tournament. We'll be able to talk about this all year, Tommy.
It's gonna be great.
So, on to other topics, because this has been beaten to death. And if you have not heard a billion videos on this by now, well, I appreciate you listening to us,
And
because
now
that
you
means you
know
don't
our
listen to much.
opinions.
Yeah, as I say, that means you don't listen to much YouTube content, but you're listening to us. That makes
Yeah.
you amazing. If you have heard other opinions, I'm sure you have opinions. Leave them in the comments. I'm curious what people think. I can only talk about what I know.
Mhm.
Um, On to other things though,
This
'cause I
new
do feel
card game
like,
Sorcery came out.
yeah, the new set, Arthurian Legends.
Brand new
It's
game.
glorious in its way, in the way it's supposed to be. I
Yeah.
know there's complaints about the price and all that. I get it. Correlation is very good, so it is very fun to open. Very similar, feels very similar to Alpha Beta. Um, hard to get all the things. Very hard to get foils generally. I would say the collation. Well, I don't know for a fact, but my gut so far, seeing videos and what I've opened, is that the collation is a little bit better, not as chunky. Because I don't know if you remember in alpha, there was like god boxes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't heard of a god box yet. So at the very least, they are less likely to happen at this point. Um, but it's fun to open. Elites are hard to get. Uniques are less hard to get, but there's more of them, so it's going to be hard to collect them all.
Right.
Elites, there's less of them, but you get a lot less, so that's going to be very hard to get a full play set of anything, much less the full list in a full play set.
Right.
Cool theme. King Arthur is cool. Fairies in the Fae, the Unsealing Sealy Courts, bunch of new sites, bunch of new avatars, right? So new deck leaders, basically.
Mm-hmm.
The uniques are very heavily knight oriented, very cool. New mechanic lance, first strike and +1 damage.
Nice. Once
Breaks.
or permanent?
Yeah, one use. But it is equipment, so it can be dropped and others can pick it up. So you can make your flying hippogriff have a lance, or your cat.
Doesn't have thumbs.
Or your boar.
They don't have thumbs.
There's no rules about thumbs, Tommy. All right, it's a fun game
Unrealistic.
full of goofy. Yeah, no kidding.
Unrealistic.
The whole
Bad
game. One of the cards is a giant throws it or something like that.
I love it.
It's so fun. The flavor is ridiculous and so fun. I'm going to laugh so hard playing this set. Yeah. So, anyways, yes, everything can have a lance, I believe, unless there's a rule somewhere that I haven't seen. But they give a card that describes how lance works in the box. So, yeah, but it's heavily based on mortals and kingdoms and a bunch of artifacts, like a lot of artifacts, which is kind of cool. Excalibur, right? Guswit Helm, Horn of Carillion. I'm assuming these are all like canonical to various canonical to the various stories about King Arthur. I am not super familiar with them, so I don't know. I know the basics like Guinevere and Lancelot and Arthur and Merlin, right? Like I know, and Morgan Le Fay, I'm familiar with her. But I don't know like the stories and stuff. And there's a bunch of artifacts that seem like they're probably from some story or another in history, which is cool that that. There's also made up stuff. I think Wapeltinger.
Oh no, that's
a thing. Is it? Yeah. What is it?
It's that's like crazy. A rabbit, deer rabbit
with bird wings apparently, according to this picture.
Yes.
Wow. So it's a thing.
You can get one as a pet in World of Warcraft.
Oh my god, that's hilarious! I thought that was totally made up. I was like, "This, what's the most absurd card?" I was like, "That's the most absurd card. That's the one that's probably not based on anything."
It is.
Apparently, it is. All right, cool. Good to know. I learned about a Wapeltinger today. Anyways, it looks fun. It has a lot of cool, fun, little tricky cards like the giant that throws your characters. There's several mounts.
Don't Google Wapeltinger.
I won't.
First image is very disturbing.
I'm sure.
It's like a very AI try to be realistic Wapeltinger, and it's terrifying.
Gotcha. There's a bunch of cards related to cities, towns, etc. that give advantages. There's a bunch of things that give like mana, like ramp, basically. Like the critter gives ramp or gives mana. And then the what's it called? The elemental limitation. You know how it's like you can't cast this card unless you have 2 fire.
Yeah.
So there's cards that add that aren't sites. So it's like a critter that you can put down that adds. So it's like a way to ramp. I think is the general concept. Haven't played with it, so I don't know for sure.
It's also a World of Warcraft trading card game
card. There's a druid that can summon or become, I'm not sure which, a bear and an owl. And the owl can cast spells. Air has a lot of spell stuff. It's definitely themed towards casting fireball, or not fireball, lightning bolt, magic missiles, and that sort of thing.
Seems pretty cool.
Yeah. Air's my favorite.
And
Always
flying's a thing, right?
it is, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of that. Um, yeah, it's fun. It looks cool. I'm excited to try it out. I have one person I know that's gonna try it. I have a second person I need to reach out to. I've opened one box. It was fun.
Are you going to
And
open more?
I'm gonna open the second one.
Mm-hmm.
I doubt I'll open a third,
Fair.
and I may buy a third box for the shelf. That I'm not sure on yet.
Fair.
So that's where I'm at with it. It's fun though. Art's beautiful. Foils are gorgeous. Ooh, quality's better. I don't
On
know
the
if you
card?
remember. Yeah.
Like
If
the
you're
printing or the.
yeah, yeah, all of it. Like if you're gonna grade it, I
Yeah.
think you're gonna get higher scores on average with
Oh,
this set
good.
than
That's good.
set one. Yeah. Like one of the key things in set one is the edges were all garbage. Like the blades they
Yeah.
used were just clearly not great. And so there's chipping on
Yeah.
pretty much every card. It's very hard to get perfect edges or even close to it. Not the case. In fact, I didn't notice. Doesn't mean it wasn't there because I don't pay close attention to that, but I didn't notice a single chipped card where like the other boxes, it was very obvious, like going through it. Oh yeah, chipped cards all over the place, right? Um, so higher, much higher quality than last time on that component.
That's good.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Cool. That's all I got. So until next
Oh,
week. Oh,
I was gonna say, there's one thing that's hilarious.
what?
There's a bore mechanic. There's squeakers,
Uh huh.
which if you kill, it summons the exceptional tier boars. If you can pull them out of your top of your deck,
Uh huh.
which when they die summons the elite tier boar.
Oh, that's cool.
So if you make a full boar deck,
That's pretty neat.
I was like, okay, that's fun. They're trying to do something there. Now you can't, right? You need more cards than that, so you're not guaranteed to get that to go off, right? But you
Right.
might, you might
Right.
get that to go off, which would be hilarious. Anyways, sorry.
That's fun.
Until next time.
Until next time, we'll catch you guys later.
Have a good one.